Hello, everyone. My name is John McFarlane, and I am the President and CEO of the London Health Sciences Foundation. Thank you for joining us for this morning for this exciting announcement. Now, originally, this event was supposed to be held on March 26th, but of course, COVID hit, and that changed the whole world, including how we do things, how we do announcements. But the significance of March 26th is it would have been Archie and Irene Verspeeten's 69th wedding anniversary. Although we're not able to get together on that momentous date, on that anniversary date, we have the honor of joining virtually today to announce their legacy with the creation of the Archie and Irene Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center. Today we have Archie and sons Ron, Dennis, Ryan, and Mark tuned in at home as we announce the creation of this new center. As we make this momentous announcement, we would also like to take a moment to honor Irene, Archie's late wife, and their late son, Alan, who both passed away from cancer several years ago. It's with their memory at heart that the Archie and Irene Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center was funded. Also joining us on this special day are Dr. Paul Woods, our President and Chief Executive Officer at LHSC, and we have some panelists, Dr. Beckham Sadikovic, Scientific and Clinical Director of the Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center, Mike Kador, Director of Pathology and Laboratory Medicine, Dr. Glenn Bauman, Chair Chief of Oncology, Dr. Stephen Welch, Medical Director of the Baines Clinical Research Unit. And we have our moderator, and everybody knows him, Nick Paparella from CTV. We look forward to him moderating our panel discussion. As well, we have a number of LHSC physicians, researchers, and staff who are joining us virtually, including those from the London Regional Cancer Program. Today is an exceptionally important day for patient care at our hospital as we celebrate the creation of the Archie and Irene Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center at London Health Sciences Center. On behalf of the foundation, we'd like to express our tremendous gratitude to Archie and Irene Verspeeten for their inspiration and generosity. The new center will have a profound effect on the lives of patients, not only on our community, but also in the communities around the world as new treatments and research breakthroughs are discovered and shared. It's because of Archie and Irene's vision and passion to find a cure to end cancer that this center is possible. We are inspired by Archie, Irene, and their family for the generosity they have shown to LHSF over the many years. One of the greatest gifts we can give is hope. Today, we announce Archie and Irene Verspeeten's gift of $3 million to create the Archie and Irene Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center, giving hope to patients at LHSC. I'd like to share a few words from Archie at this time that he's provided, and I quote, "Today, I'm so humbled that we were able to support the creation of the first of its kind Clinical Genome Center in Canada. This means more than words can ever express. My wife and I have always been passionate about finding a cure for cancer because unfortunately, my family has been no stranger to the deathly grip of the disease, and I want nothing more than to end cancer completely. I hope this center will give us one step closer to that goal. I believe genetic testing can provide better patient outcomes and help patients live longer, fuller, and happier lives." Thank you, Archie, for those inspiring words. I'd now like to share an inspiring video about this new center.
I am honored to be part of this important day as we celebrate the creation of the Archie and Irene Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center. This center means more to my family than words can ever convey. My family has been greatly impacted by cancer over the years, so we understand the pain that goes along with the cancer diagnosis. My parents' vision for this center is to provide hope in the face of a cancer diagnosis and to improve the lives and outcomes for cancer patients. Ultimately, we hope that our dedication to this cause leads for a cure to cancer. My brothers and I have always been proud of our parents, but today we are especially proud. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron, for sharing remarks on behalf of the Verspeeten family. Without further ado, I'd like to invite Nick Paparella from CTV to begin our panel discussion with our first speaker, Dr. Beckham Sadikovic. Nick.
Thank you very much, John. I'm always excited to be a part of any event at LHSC, and especially an announcement like this. I know it's virtual, but how about a big round of applause to Archie, Irene, Ron, and the entire Verspeeten family. Thank you very much. Your impact that you've made with this contribution is going to be felt by thousands of people in our community. So a big shout out to the Verspeeten family. And like you said, John, we have a number of panelists we're going to get through to talk about the impact of today's big gift. First off, we have Dr. Beckham Sadikovic. And Beckham, if you can join us now, tell us about the impact of this transformational gift on a center like this.
Well, hello, everyone. What an exciting day, really. First off, on behalf of the Genome Center, I'd like to start by thanking Archie, Irene, their sons, and the rest of their family for the extremely generous gift that will advance the vision to help patients in our community affected by cancer and other genetic disorders. The mission of the Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center is shared with everything else that we do, and that is first and foremost to help patients. The unique aspects of the Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center is that we are going to use individual or personalized genetic information to do exactly that. We recognize that the vast majority of our individual traits or normal variation, like color of our eyes, are due to differences in our DNA. However, we now also know that rare changes in our DNA, which we call mutations, can cause disease. These individual genetic mutations are the cornerstone of what we call personalized genomic medicine. Not only are we able to use this information to provide better and more accurate diagnosis and prognosis for a growing number of disorders, including cancer, neurological and developmental disorders, heart disease, diabetes, and others, we're now also able to use this information to develop individualized and targeted therapies against the specific genetic defects. Dr. Welch and Dr. Bauman will later tell us more about this explosion in genetics-driven personalized medicine and the amazing impact this is having in improving the lives of our patients. The challenge, however, is there are 6.2 billion letters that make up the book of life in our DNA. And a change in only a single letter, which may be unique to a single individual, can be the culprit. The Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center, through the generous support of Verspeeten family and other donors in our community, will enable access to the personalized genomic medicines to the patients in our community and beyond. Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center becomes the first of its kind in Canada by combining the advanced genomics and translational research in a genome center with a highly efficient, safe, and regulated clinical environment of a clinical diagnostic laboratory. Dr. Kadir will further elaborate on the exciting opportunities to transform healthcare that this presents. The center will build on our existing capabilities and expand our access to advanced technologies in genome sequencing. It will use cutting-edge computational platforms that grow our bioinformatics expertise by training and employing young scientists. This will enable us to combine the wealth of genomic and clinical data and to discover new molecular biomarkers and develop new diagnostic technologies that can help patients worldwide. We really want this to be a global impact. I should summarize by outlining the few guiding principles that we're going to use at the Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center to focus our work. Of course, we will prioritize our efforts on projects that focus on genomic profiling of patients. Genetic assessment of patients will focus on areas where we can either provide additional genetic information related to patients' clinical management. Things like access to targeted therapies or clinical trials will certainly be a priority. We would like to enable generation of broader genomic knowledge, including developing databases and registries to enable new knowledge discovery. And finally, we'd also like to leverage our local support to bring in further investment, including industry partnerships and provincial and federal funding sources to achieve sustainability and a broad adoption of these technologies in Canadian healthcare. And finally, I'd like to say that it is my honor to help lead this transformation. Finding ways to use genomic information to provide better care to our patients has been my personal long-standing passion. I'd like to thank the visionary leadership of London Health Sciences, London Health Sciences Foundation, and the departments of pathology and oncology in particular for fostering the culture of excellence innovations that we have here. Finally, I'd like to thank our creative, hardworking, and dedicating and caring staff who always put our patients first. I guess without further ado, looking forward to the rest of the conversation we'll have today. Back to you, Nick.
All right, thanks a lot, Doc. And thank you very much. Very, very insightful, as all of our panelists will be today. Up next, we want to call in Dr. Stephen Welsh. Doc, come on in and talk to us about the improved care and treatment options now available because of this gift.
Yes, thank you very much, Nick, and good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Stephen Welch. I'm a medical oncologist here at the London Regional Cancer Program. I'm the medical director of the Baines Cancer Clinical Research Unit. First off, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude on behalf of the clinicians and scientists at the London Regional Cancer Program and patients who walk through our doors, to Archie, to Ron, to Dennis, to Brian, to Mark, the extended Verspeeten family, for this inspirational gift. Dr. Sadikovic has talked about the many applications that the Clinical Genome Center will provide. I'm going to focus my attention on an area of keen interest to me, which is molecular profiling of tumors, cancer genomics, and how this delivers on personalized medicine. That's the buzzword that you hear all the time. Personalized medicine is the right treatment for the right patient at the right time. That's what we seek to achieve in all areas of medicine, but in particular in oncology. We've had many years of experience of refining treatments for different cancers, and we define it based on, we treat cancers the same. So a breast cancer patient gets breast cancer treatment. Lung cancer is treated like a lung cancer. But we know increasingly that everyone's cancer is unique. It's as unique as your fingerprint. And the DNA is your fingerprint, like the DNA of the cancer. And so what we're trying to leverage is looking under the hood at this cancer. Each individual cancer, to look at the mutation profile, the presence or absence of different mutations in the cancer. Those select the mutations that are driving the growth of the cancer. And we have some limited cases right now where the Ministry of Health funds genomic testing to help us select best treatment. So lung cancer, colon cancer, melanoma, these are examples of that. But we know that this technology can apply much more broadly to patients with advanced cancer and increasing their early stage cancer as well. Our aim through the Clinical Genome Center is to avail more and more patients to this technology. And through this technology, avail patients of new experimental therapies, targeted therapies, and to avail clinical trials of novel therapies based on those results. So this is a very key enabler of the next steps that we all need to take. Fortunately, what the Genome Center provides us is a filling in of the gap. Next generation sequencing, which is molecular profiling, is technology that we have. We have it, but the funding is not available for all situations. So filling in that funding gap where existing technology does not have that Ministry of Health funding. But the other important gap is the knowledge gap. So molecular genomics and gene mutations take us so far, but we know that there's more. Epigenetics is another area that I think that Dr. Sadikovic and others here in London can really play a worldwide leadership role in taking us to the next steps in terms of molecular, choosing therapies based on molecular targets. So I'm thrilled to be a part of this. I again thank the Verspeetens, and I hope that what I know of the Verspeetens is that they're really good business people. I hope that they see this as an investment and not just a donation. You're investing in talented scientists and physicians in London, Ontario. using this to create leverage to expand and draw in more funds from other sources. And at the end, delivering on the promise of personalized medicine through game-changing cancer genomics to improve the lives of cancer patients in our region and beyond. So thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Welsh, and we're going to be hearing from you in a bit. Right now, as you mentioned, there's a lot of talented doctors, nurses, and staff that are a part of the LHSC family. And the guy who drives the bus through this pandemic, through all of this, is the grand poobah at LHSC. Let's call in the Chief Executive Officer and President at LHSC, Paul Woods, to say a few words. Paulie, always good to see you.
Thanks, Nick. And I've never been called a bus driver before, but I'll go with
driving the bus here.
Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Paul Woods, and as Nick mentioned, I'm the President and Chief Executive Officer at London Health Sciences Centre. On behalf of our staff and physicians, and most importantly, our patients and their families, it's my privilege to express our deepest gratitude to Archie and Irene Verspeeten for making this center possible, for their inspiration and exceptional generosity, and for their longstanding support of our community over the years. We're truly grateful. As the major acute care center for London and the entire Southwest region, LHSC is dedicated to achieving and exceeding the highest standards of care by putting patients at the center of everything we do. Donor support is essential to helping us develop resources to continually improve our capabilities. As you've heard from today's speakers, the Archie and Irene Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center will allow our researchers and frontline care teams to further much needed advancements in treating patients with complex diseases. On behalf of London Health Sciences Centre, once again, thank you for your tremendous support and vision.
All right, thanks a lot, Dr. Woods. All right, now we want to invite all of the doctors back for a panel discussion. And we want to also introduce Dr. Glenn Bauman, who is going to be part of the panel discussion here this morning. Guys, welcome back. And there's Dr. Bauman. How you doing, Glenn?
Hey, doing well, thanks.
Good. Okay, guys, at this point, we have a bunch of different questions for all of you, and then maybe we'll just throw something out at the end that you can all answer. So the creation of this Clinical Genome Center, which is the first of its kind in Canada, will have a big time impact. And we're just going to ask how the gift will transform care at LHSC. To Dr. Sadikovic, can you explain what the genomic profiling is?
Thank you, Nick. Of course, as I mentioned earlier, we're starting to recognize how our genes, or what is coded in our individual DNA, can help us develop better and more personalized medicine. Our DNA is part of what makes each human unique. The unique features of our genome are part of what makes our families, communities, societies, and ultimately our species rich in the wonderful range of human diversity. However, as it happens, mechanisms that drive these changes through our evolution in human DNA can also be responsible for errors. In some cases, those errors are deleterious. We call them mutations. And much like the individual variation in our DNA that makes us unique, as Steve had elaborated on previously, genetic mutations are often unique to an individual. So the challenge is that, human genome is stupendously large. It's about 6.2 billion chemical letters or bases. And I've heard a million different analogies. So what this means, I just pulled one up again this morning. If printed out on a standard book typeface, a human genome sequence would stretch about 5,000 kilometers. So the new sequencing technologies, or genome sequencing technologies that we already have and apply in specialized cases here, they allow us to sequence a human genome in a single day now. This task is something that took a consortium of about 8 countries, 20 labs over a period of number of years, and about $800 million to sequence the first human genome. Now we can, as I said, do it in a day. However, sequencing the human genome, or clinically relevant portions of human genomes, is just the first step. The major effort then is to identify often a single letter that has the clinical impact among tens of millions of letters that are responsible for simply inter-individual traits like hair color, for example. So the work is now being augmented by highly specialized approaches of things like, computational bioinformatics, biostatistics, even machine learning. These technologies are also quite routinely employed at our center as well. And then to make things even more complex, on top of our genome, we have chemical, what we call epi-signatures. Epi is Latin for above or beyond, or above, beyond the genome. And these epi-signatures can tell us how genes are turned on and off and regulated. For example, we have recently developed a machine learning-based technology that uses these epi-signatures to diagnose patients with genetic neurodevelopmental disorders. This is a world first discovery from LHSC, and it's now being used to diagnose patients internationally, and is forming the basis of a national clinical trial to look at the health system impact. This is an example of taking technology from genome scanning on through its regulatory and then moving it into our clinical use. What we'd like to do now is really apply some of these similar approaches to cancer and cancer application. This is where Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center is going to be a major role.
All right, thank you very much, Doc. Also, we mentioned joining the panel, we mentioned Dr. Baumann, but we also want to welcome Dr. Mike Kador to the panel. Welcome, Mike. This next question is for Stephen Welsh. And Dr. Welsh, can you shed some light on why genomic profiling is important to patients at the LRCP?
Sure. I think that the greatest impact that we've seen thus far with genomic profiling is to have the potential to avail patients of more therapeutic options, and perhaps smarter ones. We've been running a couple of clinical trials over the last couple of years. Dr. Zadikovic and myself, one is a collaborative across the province called Octane. We have an in-house study called POWER, or Precision Oncology at Western. And both of these trials are meant to avail patients of molecular profiling information. And these are patients that typically have advanced cancer and don't have any other therapeutic options. Unfortunately, most of the patients who have gone through this testing, the testing doesn't actually lead them to a new therapy. But there is a significant minority of patients who have been availed new therapies. I'd probably say out of about 600 patients that we have profiled through these research studies over the last couple of years, it's probably in the order of about 30 to 40 of them that have new treatments, and in many of those cases, transformational treatments that they're still receiving that they wouldn't have had if we didn't do this testing. So that doesn't sound like a lot. If I look at the numbers, that's 5% of patients. Is that worth it? Well, I'll tell you, it's worth it for those 5%. But the message is that we're right at the start of this. There are new treatments coming all the time that are towards specific molecular targets. The FDA and Health Canada approved these therapies, several with several per year. So there is optimism for the future as our testing gets better, as our treatments get more sophisticated. We're going to improve on that 5% number. I'm quite certain of it. So I think that those are that's the major impact that I'm seeing. Again, it's that move towards a personalized medicine approach.
All right, thank you, Dr. Welsh. Now we want to bring in Dr. Baumann, and Glenn, tell us how the center will change treatment options and patient outcomes.
Yeah, well, I would just echo the comments of others that this technology is transformational, and I think it has been transforming our ability to diagnose and characterize individuals with disease. And in our case, we're interested in cancer, but as we've heard from Dr. Zadikovic, it has implications for the whole spectrum of disease. When we think about cancer diagnosis particularly, it's sobering to think that the main way we diagnose cancer is based on the principles established by Dr. Virchow in 1900 using light microscopy. And we're trying to make treatment plans based on very simple pictures of cancer through microscopes using principles used for for 100 years. And now we can use a microscope that is looking at the molecular level to help us understand, even though the cancer may have this appearance under the microscope, really molecularly it is this type of cancer. So instead of using this set of treatments, we really should be using this set of treatments. So our ability to diagnose and characterize cancer increases enormously as we have this microscopic, this molecular microscope, as you could maybe call the next generation sequencing. And then, as Dr. Welch has alluded to, as you understand more about the biology of the cancer, you can start to better select treatments, whether it be a drug that's targeted to a specific set of genetic abnormalities, but even a very general treatment like radiation treatments, which is what I do, is not really targeted to a specific molecular abnormality, but the body's and the cancer's response to radiotherapy is determined by its genetic makeup. And there's some very interesting new work being done at looking at patterns of gene expression and correlating that with how well cancers respond to a very general treatment like radiotherapy. So you may be able to predict those people who have highly sensitive tumors to radiation and can get away with a lower dose of radiation, and we can reduce the side effects of that treatment. Or those who are relatively radio-resistant, where we might need higher doses and maybe accept a different range of side effects, or maybe we need something to help the radiation work better, or we need a different treatment. So I think the sort of ability to select and optimize our therapies crosses into other disciplines other than picking particular drug therapies. And the final thing I would say is genomic sequencing and genomic information is one piece of information, and we now are in a medical, our medical care environment is such a data-rich environment that we have this discipline called multi-omics, where you bring in information from across the spectrum, whether it be medical images, better clinical information, and you basically put that all in this huge data blender, and then use the machine learning techniques that Dr. Sedikovic talked about, and we can start to really make nuanced decision-making and predictions using these very large, very diverse data sets. So it's a really exciting time. It's a bit daunting, actually, to think about how much work we need to do to leverage this type of information.
All right, thanks a lot, Dr. Bauman. Okay, we want to bring in Dr. Sedikovic back in. And Beckham, the Archie and Irene Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center is the first of its kind in Canada. What does that mean, and how is this center so unique?
Yeah, this is the one thing that I find to be quite exciting operationally, as well as from the potential future impact of the work that we do. Generally speaking, research is done in genome centers, and clinical diagnosis is done in diagnostic laboratories. Without exception, when we talk about genome centers in Canada, they're research facilities, and the labs like ours here that I oversee that does clinical genetic testing. We've been developing research capabilities in this field to ultimately augment what we can do, from patient care standpoint. And over the last few years, what Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center is going to do is essentially is going to blend the two into a single entity. So what we're going to start doing now, which is the unique, I'd say, aspect of a genome center in Canada, is we will be doing translational genomics, advanced testing and research in fully certified, regulated clinical diagnostic environment. It creates the level of evidence that is necessary to move what we consider to be mature technologies into clinical care and clinical use much more readily, much more rapidly. We have a number of different innovations that we managed to move through these particular channels more effectively. I always joke and say that science is the easy part. It's the regulatory behind science that kind of gets in the way from actually giving access to a lot of these care to patients. Being in a clinically regulated environment, it really provides us with an opportunity to work with, federal regulatory and provincial regulatory agencies, as well as the funding agencies to make a lot of this innovation ultimately long-term sustainable. So that's what's really exciting and unique about this app.
All right, thanks, Beckham. All right, we want to bring in Dr. Mike Kaddour now. And Mike, a question for you. What will the Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center mean to London, and why is it so important to have the ability to do this here in the Forest City?
Thank you, Nick. I guess I should provide some context. My role on the team is fairly unique from my colleagues, as well as being a scientific collaborator. My contribution is as the executive director of the Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center, if you will, the sort of business operational management. So I'm going to offer a fairly different perspective. And I think, first off, what we need to acknowledge the Verspeeten family for is how truly transformative this is. And let me explain through my unique lens. I think historically, London was a hidden gem of world-leading genetic diagnostic innovation. But it's that hidden part that is now increasingly a thing of the past. This gift, and more importantly, really the vision that we share with the Verspeetens is fundamentally different than what we've done before. Dr. Sidikovic is starting to reference that. We've got a big vision to transform care here locally by investing into where innovation truly lies, which is that messy creative space between research and clinical care. It's not done well anywhere. Those are two separate silos. This gift, this center, absolutely breaks those silos right apart. Having the center here in London will significantly enhance what our city is capable of, both for our own local communities first, but truly for our global community. And I don't think we're overstating that. We've got an exciting pipeline of genetic diagnostic projects ready to go. And it's already catching the attention of international top talent to join the world-class teams who've already made London home. And this is our home. I am so proud to be able to lead this center with this group of colleagues, and having the center here in London means that we're not waiting for others to innovate for us. We're truly leading. And this center is going to make it that much easier and so much more successful for us to be able to do that.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike. Okay, we want to bring Glenn back in. Dr. Bauman, moving forward, how will a cancer patient's journey be different tomorrow versus today with the Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center?
So I think that it's a journey, and so I think what we will see is that in the very near term, access to the type of knowledge that Dr. Welch described, where we're being able to offer genomic characterization on a per patient basis to help select therapies for those people where they may have difficult to treat cancers. I think that will be a very near term advantage to having the Genome Center. I think we have some ideas about early win type projects that could leverage the center, particularly some of the ones that I'm very excited about is the ability to leverage our expertise around the epigenomics and start to look at exploiting the expertise we have in London around brain tumor and brain tumor pathology, and look to molecular ways of diagnosing brain cancers in a much more precise way than we've been able to in the past. And we have colleagues within the neurosurgical world who have sort of archive specimens where we can characterize and look to develop these things right out of the box very quickly. And I think in the longer term, I see this ability, because the Genome Center sits within the hospital, that we will start to see routine integration of genomic information into the patient records, so that when a doctor signs on and looks at a patient's file, they're not only seeing the physician's notes and the MRI scan, but now they have access to all of the molecular diagnostics. And that information is already in there to a limited extent for some people, for some specific molecular information, but now it's not implausible to think that you will have a very comprehensive molecular diagnostic report embedded in the patient record, and then that serves as an integral part of medical decision making. So I think these are the things that we can look forward to that will come very quickly out of the organization around the Genome Center of Excellence.
All right, thanks, Glenn. Okay, we want to bring in Dr. Welsh again. And Stephen, tell us, can you explain why clinical trials are so important and what impact they will have on patients at LHSC?
Great. Thanks, Nick. I'm so glad you asked that question. That's a question near and dear to my heart. First off, I don't think that I'm saying anything that people don't already know. Cancer is just a terrible disease. I'd be hard pressed to find anybody that's listening in on this whose life hasn't been hit so hard by this diagnosis of cancer. It's a very difficult disease to treat. Some people ask me as a medical oncologist, why do you do this? It's such a tough disease to treat. Our treatments are not anywhere near where they should be. But the reason is I have faith in the future. I have faith in the present and future in terms of the way forward with new treatments is innovation. Innovation and clinical trials provide us the way to prove that these innovations really matter. So those clinical trials are often for patients, the best treatment available is participation in a clinical trial. I think a lot of people don't know that. Clinical trials start with an idea, but in order to conduct these clinical trials, you require infrastructure. You need, certainly the hospital and the university provide this in terms of oversight and regulation that oversees the proper management of these clinical trials. But what clinical trials really need are boots on the ground, research coordinators, really talented staff that conduct all of the studies the way that they're supposed to be done according to a clinical trial protocol. And I think a lot of people don't realize that those individuals are not paid for by the hospital. They're not paid for by the Ministry of Health. It's grant funding that supplies their salaries and collaboration with industry sponsors that provide that what I call soft money to offer to pay for their salaries. So certainly there is a case to be made for increased support for this type of clinical trial infrastructure. And I think that in many ways, the Clinical Genome Center is going to be a part of providing that support. I would like to make sure that people get the message though. I think directly to patients and family members, a question you should be asking your treatment team. Is there a clinical trial for me? Supply is going to follow demand. If people demand it, we're going to have to supply it. To the clinicians and scientists that are listening in, keep innovating. We're here to provide that infrastructure to support and figure out how to get it done. And everyone else that's listening, continue to support the academic mission of London Health Sciences Center, and we will make a difference.
All right, thanks a lot, Dr. Welsh. Okay, Mike, we want to bring you back in. Dr. Kador, you mentioned you're the business part of this, so I'm going to ask you some dollar question here. How do donor dollars impact patient care with regard to genomics, and how do dollars impact the Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center?
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Yeah, we certainly can't have a conversation about healthcare without having a conversation about dollars. Let me put this lens on it. I'll try to make the case of why donor dollars make the whole system flow. I think it's helpful to think of philanthropy like social venture capital. It's seed funding to build momentum in this flywheel of innovation that you hear us speaking about. Very specifically, donor dollars allow us to take effectively already proven innovative technologies that we've developed and apply them immediately to more areas of patient care where diagnostic solutions aren't yet available. to help arrive at a diagnosis or inform prognosis, how are things likely to play out, or unlock the therapies that Dr. Welsh is referencing. So we're not talking about, blue sky, it could be 10, 20 years to maybe translate. We're talking now, like start the project now and recruit the patients now and observe the benefits right now. So immediately our patients benefit. But beyond that, then this is the really important part, if you humor me from the business perspective of this, is that we generate the real world experience, which shows firsthand the power and the benefits of that innovation. And then we use that to unlock public grants, commercial grants from pharma companies and other med tech companies, provincial funding, and I'm going to go there, international business. We're going to sell this to other markets to drive further money into our innovation flywheel and keep caring more for our patients. So one donor dollar doesn't stop at $1 of innovation. At the very least, we're up to $3 to $4 more through the grants, and then sometimes $10+ from that original dollar through international work, and then ultimately ongoing routine funding as a standard of care for everyone. It sounds a little too good to be true. It sounds like I might be reading from the textbook, but we've done it regularly, and we're getting really good at this. And so, again, humor me one last time, I think donors are truly angels, both in that early stage investor definition type, taking that risk with us, but perhaps more importantly, as a partner who believes in being unconventional, even visionary, in caring for our community and in caring for our loved ones who need us to really believe that anything is possible.
And Dr. Woods knows about it more because he deals with it in a bigger scope, I guess. But Mike, really, we need these donor dollars.
Absolutely. It is like I'm referencing. It is the start. It is the momentum into the flywheel. We don't need you to pay forever. We need you to help us get things moving, and then we can take it from there. And so every time another a family, another donor comes through, that unlocks more possibilities for us to continue to do this.
And that's what this gift is doing today.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks a lot, Mike. Okay, I have one final question here, and this goes out to everybody. And I think I'm going to start, because on my screen here, I got Dr. Welsh, Bauman, Kador, and then we'll wrap up with Beckham there at the end there. So this last question to the entire panel, in your opinion, how will the Archie and Irene Clinical Genome Center change the landscape for patients diagnosed with complex diseases, cancer in the London region? And how does this set London apart from other regions? Dr. Welsh, go ahead.
Well, sure. I'll mention two things. The Archie and Irene Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center puts London on the map very easily. And I think that it's important for people to realize that cancer is the solution to cancer is a global fight. We are not going to solve this alone. Princess Margaret's not going to solve this alone. Mayo Clinic's not going to solve this alone. Gustave Roussy in France, no one's solving this problem alone. We need to collaborate. This puts us on the map of a group that people worldwide will collaborate with, and that will get us to better. The second, I think we shouldn't minimize the impact, as Dr. Sadikovic and Kador have said, about embedding this initiative within the clinical lab. This should be considered a shining example of how you can incorporate research and academics into everything that you do. I think Dr. Kador had mentioned how many places there's a research silo over here, the clinic is over here, teaching is over here. That's not how we achieve as an academic health sciences center. it's baking this into everything that we do, not having silos. So I think that we will achieve by incorporating research, teaching, academics into clinical care. It's all for one, and that's how we will achieve moving forward, and that's how we'll set ourselves apart.
All right, thanks, Stephen. Dr. Bauman.
Yeah, I really feel like the Genome Center is going to be an essential catalyst for us, and in terms of translating this knowledge into, as Dr. Kadur said, into routine care. And as is mentioned before, having this center embedded in the clinical care of our patients means that we can just axe out a whole bunch of bureaucratic stuff that has to happen if you're trying to work with a separate research institute and shuttle information and specimens and things like that. And we got rid of all of that because patients are within the firewall of the hospital, and we can conduct our research with the appropriate, regulatory, what's necessary, but what's not excessive. And so this will streamline our ability to translate, to explore new questions, to translate that into clinical situations, get the evidence we need, and then get it into practice. And we are now a player in this space where we were not a player in this space 6 months ago. So I mean we were an emerging player, but now we have truly arrived.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Glenn. Okay, Dr. Kadur.
I'm going to pick up on the theme of the silos again. I hate silos. God, I hate silos. I think my own personal mission here within London is just bashing as many as we can find. And the Verspeetens knew this, and they understood. Although what we're saying may sound like bread and butter healthcare, that these walls are high. And the Verspeetens came forward and said, then I'll meet you right in the middle. I'll meet you right on the wall. And we're building this center that straddles these boundaries. And so you've heard of some of the things that we think are going to be possible. Let me talk about the sort of people side. There's a really interesting dynamic that's starting to happen in our city because of contributions like this, where otherwise disparate, lonely researchers and clinicians and lab people are finding each other, and we're talking about what's possible. And you can maybe critique us and say, you should have been doing this all the time, but it's really hard to do it. And this suddenly opens the doors to do that regularly with ease, and in a way that facilitates the kind of innovative processes that allow us to really make differences in patient care. So as much as this is about projects and novel genetics and maybe unlocking therapies for patients, it's actually unlocking our city to work together. And I find that part hugely invigorating.
All right, thanks, Mike. All right, Dr. Sadikovic, you can wrap things up here.
Well, what everybody else just said covered basically everything I was going to say. So I'm gonna try to kind of put a slightly different angle on this, which is really important. Two words: standard of care and big data. Standard of care. We talk about standard of care. Sometimes we think of standard of care as a static term. It's not a static term. Innovators drive and push the standard of care. What the Verspeeten Genome Center is going to allow us to do is really push the international standard of care. We can be the driver that will allow others to follow and expand the standard of care. And we'll do that by piggybacking care on top of innovation. We're essentially merging the two into the same entity. And we're really excited about that. The other thing that really kind of sticks in my mind here is that because we're now going to be able to generate this huge amount of data, of course, a lot of this data is going to be used when we know how to use it for practical clinical applications. But by combining this data within our healthcare system to other rich data sources, we're now able to really start thinking about big data in healthcare. We talk about Facebook and the Twitter and the Amazon and the Google and all the rest of that. All of these technologies are absolutely driven by big data. by creating very large amounts of personalized genomic data in our patients and embedding them into our healthcare system, we're putting ourselves in a really, really good position to, in the coming years, benefit from mining that data for future care. With that, I thank everyone absolutely for the support, and the Verspeetens in particular. Feel free to join in and reach out to any one of us if you want any more information on this.
All right, thanks a lot, Beckham, and thank you so much for this, guys. Thank you to Dr. Kador, Dr. Bauman. Thank you, Beckham, and thank you, Dr. Welsh. Guys, very, very insightful. And I am so proud to be a Londoner and so proud to live in a community with healthcare professionals like yourself, and as well, all the nursing staff, all the support staff at LHSC. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. I can't see you, Archie, but thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Okay, and to the Verspeeten family again, gifts like this truly help the hospital, and you are touching thousands and thousands of lives, people that you will never really meet, but your impact is so profound on a morning like this. So thank you very much again to the Verspeeten family. And to wrap things up, I'm going to call John McFarland back in. Johnny?
Thank you very much, Nick. What an awesome presentation. Thank you for your work as our moderator, and thank you to the panelists as well. As you can see, we are so excited about the all-stars that we have that are going to be behind the scenes with this new center. But thank you also to the Verspeeten family. I know you're watching. I know you're listening. This is truly transformational, as has been said many times in the last hour. And it truly is. And we as a foundation and as a community, frankly, are so grateful that you had the vision to make this significant gift of $3 million for the benefit of patients right here in London, Ontario, and as has been said, all across the world. And this is a great lead gift to our overall vision for this of $10 million for this, for the Archie and Irene Verspeeten Clinical Genome Center. So we're just getting started, and I know that Archie and Irene's gift will be a true inspiration to others who want to support this and want to see through the complete vision that our experts have sort of outlined on this panel discussion. And please feel free to reach out to me or any one of our foundation team, or go to our website at lhsf.ca if you're interested in supporting further. I want to thank you all for tuning in and for watching this really momentous day for the entire city and region as we celebrate the significant gift of $3 million from Archie and Irene Verspeeten. I also wanted just to shout out to our small but mighty foundation team behind the scenes. Putting on a production like this seems easy, and that's because we have a great team behind it. Lindsay, Shannon, Justin in particular, who are producing and directing this event. So again, thank you for tuning in. Thank you to the Verspeeten family for your generosity and your inspirational gift, and we look forward for more to come as we build on this remarkable vision. Again, thank you, everybody. Thanks, Nick, and please have a wonderful day.